What age will you start to smell worse? For many people, the scent of a newborn baby is one of the best smells you can experience. As humans grow older and our bodies change, though our natural smell seems to get far less appealing. But at what age do we start to smell our worst? Is it the same for everyone, or does it differ from person to person? Those are the questions we'll seek to answer in this video, along with discovering many other quirks associated with our body's smell. So, hold your nose, hit that subscribe button, and get ready to dive headfirst into the stinky world of body odor. Everyone is different. Now, before we get down into the nitty-gritty of it all, we should probably address the elephant in the room. Smell is subjective, meaning that different people prefer different smells. While a certain scent might be attractive to some, that same smell could be enough to make other people gag. And of course, everyone loves their own smell. But there is still a general consensus when it comes to the types of odor that either disgust or appeal to most humans. Also, smell can be a pretty embarrassing topic for those who suffer from hygiene or medical issues. But with all the products and science available these days, it's easy to cover up and mitigate bad smells, at least for the most part. Just be grateful you don't live in Victorian London. Personal hygiene practices like regular bathing, using deodorant or antiperspirant, and wearing clean clothes can all help manage how offensive our pong is. With that said, let's take a look at the major milestones our bodies go through that cause significant changes to our natural perfume. Newborn smell. When we're born, our little bodies arrive into the world having spent months floating in amniotic fluid. If you've ever witnessed a birth, you'll notice that a newborn is usually covered in a white, waxy substance too. This white stuff is called vernix caseosa, and it's a combination of this plus the amniotic fluid that is said to give babies their intoxicating scent. However, this smell eventually fades, meaning that you'll probably never smell as good as you did during the first few weeks of your life, at least according to your mother. That's because hormones also play a part in the newborn smell phenomenon, and the scent of a baby can trigger women's dopamine pathways, the same way freshly baked bread or a delicious snack can do the same. This was proven in a study from 2013 that analyzed brain activity during mother-infant bonding. Incredibly, an earlier study from 1987 found that 90% of women could even identify their newborn baby's smell alone after spending only 10 minutes to an hour with them. Talk about a wholesome superpower. Of course, babies are notorious for making terrible smells too, and kids can be messy and gross. But the development stage that gets the worst rap in terms of bad body odors is adolescence. Teenage years. If you've ever had teenagers of your own or stayed at a friend's house as a teenager, you might have noticed that their bedroom is usually the smelliest in the house, and not in a good way. Aside from deodorant or possible narcotics, there's a distinct teenage smell that's associated with boys in particular. But why is this? Well, first we need to understand where body odor comes from in the first place. Primarily, it's caused by the interaction of sweat with bacteria on the skin. One of the changes that our bodies go through during puberty is an increase in hormones, which in turn increases the amount of moisture produced by our sweat glands. But hold up, just because teens sweat more doesn't account for the awful smell. After all, young children who run around all day and build up a sweat don't smell nearly as bad. Everybody sweats, but not everybody stinks. This is because during childhood and throughout our lives, our sweat glands produce salty water when our bodies heat up through exercise, stress, illness, or the weather. However, during puberty, the hormones we produce cause a different type of gland, called sebaceous glands, to become active, It's these glands, found mostly under the arms and in the groin area, that produce oils in addition to sweat. You see, on its own, sweat doesn't really smell, although teenage sweat does also contain different chemicals that are offensive to the nose. However, it is only when bacteria on our skin break down this oily sweat that a rather pungent odor is produced. No matter how much we wash, all of us have bacteria living on our skin and on our clothes. When our bodies start to produce oily sweat in our teenage years, it's like a feast for these bacteria, and it's the extra acids they produce as a result of this feast that cause the nasty scent. Additional factors can enhance the strength of body odor, especially during adolescence. Teenagers are likely to engage in more physical activities than other age groups. Plus, it's a time in our lives when we tend to experiment with different dietary habits. Certain foods and beverages, such as spicy foods or caffeine, can contribute to odor. Then there's the factor of poor hygiene, which can lead to the accumulation of sweat and bacteria on the skin. And even genetics can play a role. Some people may be predisposed to having stronger body odors due to the types of sweat and skin bacteria they have. Interestingly, our feet do not have oil-producing sweat glands. So why do they tend to be one of the smelliest parts of the body? Because wearing shoes and socks traps moisture, allowing bacteria and yeast to grow on our feet. This results in a different, cheesier kind of whiff. Aren't human bodies just great? And if you're a teenager watching this, don't worry, as your body adjusts to the changes brought on by puberty and you transition towards physical maturity. The chemicals will balance out and your BO will not be as strong. Mind you, it won't be the last time in your life that your body starts to smell noticeably different. Old people smell. A study in 2012 compared body odors from different age groups and found that the mildly sweet, musty smell produced by elderly adults wasn't offensive at all, at least until people knew it had come from an old person. Unfortunately, the authors of the study highlighted a stigma attached to old people's smell, pointing out that there was likely some age discrimination at play when it came to perceiving body odor. To be fair, if you've ever walked into a nursing home, there is often a distinct old people smell in the air that isn't very nice. But by contrast, a visit to grandma's house evokes memories of a smell that many people enjoy. And I'm not just talking about grandma's cooking. A different study from 2012 confirmed that older people have a distinct smell that is easier to tell apart from younger adults and middle-aged people, but also suggested that it wasn't intense or unpleasant. It's all about perception and chemicals. In the case of people over 40, the main compound at play is called 2-nonenal. As we already learned, body odor comes from the breakdown of chemicals on the skin, and 2-nonenal is said to be responsible for the musty odor associated with old people. Specifically, nonenal comes from the breakdown of omega-7 unsaturated fatty acids. It has not been detected in people under the age of 40, and levels of the compound appear to increase with age. Again, it has nothing to do with personal hygiene. It can be affected by factors such as diet, stress, and genetics. As we age, our skin's natural antioxidant protection decreases too, making the chemical reactions on the surface of our skin happen at a faster rate than before. For this reason, many health experts recommend adding fruits like the Japanese persimmon to your diet to combat 2-nonenal, since persimmons are packed with antioxidants and have been used in Japan for years to naturally purify and deodorize. This is similar to how One Compress uses a natural bamboo compression to reduce bad smells and odors in their chronic pain relief products. The organic properties of bamboo are antimicrobial, and when combined with specialized compression, can help relieve chronic pain while you sleep. Check out the link in the description for more. Now, let's get back to figuring out at what age we'll smell our worst. Nose blindness. On a final note, no matter what age we are, it can be difficult to identify our own bad smells due to a phenomenon called nose blindness. This happens when a person becomes accustomed to a particular smell or odor to the point where they no longer notice it, even though it may still be present. In other words, it refers to a decreased ability to detect or recognize a scent that was once noticeable. Nose blindness can occur because the human sense of smell is adaptive. When you are exposed to a consistent odor over time, your olfactory system can become less sensitive to it as a way to prevent sensory overload. This adaptation helps us focus on detecting new or potentially dangerous smells. Unfortunately, it can also mean we overlook our own body scent. So, the next time someone says you need a shower, even if you can't smell it, you might want to take their advice on board. Now, it's time to hear from you. Which smell do you think is the most unpleasant? That of a teenager's bedroom or the lounge of an old people's home? Let us know in the comments, but remember to keep it friendly. If you enjoyed this video, a like would help us out, and for more senior health tips, make sure you subscribe to the channel. So long, stay fresh, and thanks for watching.